How's it going, everyone? Mahaji here, back at it with another video, and today we're just going to focus on Cooler's synergies and what he likes in the team. Now before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and help me get out the hood, for real. Now without further ado, let's just start with the teams in front of us and go from there. So the team that we have on the left is Base Vegeta, Cooler, and 18. It's the team that I crafted for him, and on the right we have Kaiden's OG team, Kefla, Cooler, and 18. And as you can sort of tell, 18 is a really good partner for Cooler, but they both play different roles depending on which assist that you use for 18. As you can see on the right, or see me on the left, 18B, and on the right we have 18A. And as you can see, the approaches are going to be a little bit more offensive and defensive depending on which one you use. And the reason for this is simply because Cooler can take advantage of both of these, and these aren't limited to just 18's assist, as Vegito A, Blue Vegeta's Big Bang Attack. These are all assists that are, encompassing with this, but she's the strongest at enabling him for these. So let's just talk about Cooler's strengths as a character first and go into what he does for a team. So he has some of the biggest normals in the game, and he can kind of just throw these out. Obviously he's playing a very neutral based game, not really much mix up, and he doesn't really rely on 50-50s to open a character up, but he really just wants to catch your assist and catch you for doing like up back or back dash, things like that, right? Now as far as what he does for a team, the first thing I want to mention is this assist. It's a pretty slow DP assist compared to other ones, but it's still a DP assist and it has a wide range, and it has 26 frames of block stun, which is not the greatest, but it's enough. And the reason why I chose Base Vegeta specifically is because he's able to jail a 50-50 from this in mid-screen. So as you can see, I still get 50-50s regardless of how less block stun it has as an assist, but it's still really good. It allows a character like Base Vegeta to take control of a situation where he doesn't have very large normals, or his Ki Blast can be super dashed through. So it just allows a character like him to take advantage of an otherwise very hard situation to take under control. So not only does he allow that as a DP assist, but his damage output is really good. So if you ever get the hit with your point character, then your damage output is always either going to 2-touch or it's going to be near killing, depending on which sequences you use or how much you optimize your sequences. That's all depending on which characters that you play. So as far as the synergies go, things are kind of shifty. I would recommend looking into the reward that you get off of doing something like this, if it's on hits, right? So that's something that I would look into. As you can see, 18 is actually one of the few that can take advantage of something like this. Right, so even though he has taken the down smash, she still has access to the up smash, and that's really good. So these are things just to consider when looking for synergies. Obviously, one thing that my team does allow for is if I'm in neutral and I just want to take the advantage, I can do something like that, and this will eventually jail if I time it correctly. Right. So this is something that you kind of want to look for depending on which playstyle you're looking for. Normally I would like to recommend looking into what kind of mix-up can you get with the assist. Like I said, he's not really mix-up heavy, but it is good to try to mix up your opponent if you can, without taking too much risk. Obviously the one that I like to recommend is doing something like this, where you have like this as a Dragon Rush Crush or something like this that will mess your opponent up. These are things that you can look into depending on which assist you play. Obviously it's going to be stronger for other assists than it is for the assist that I play, but the overall spectrum is really good for Cooler. As far as Kaiden's team, he could do this with the same idea, but with barrier assist, of course. So these things are universal across the board. And as far as the other things that I would look for in regards to Cooler synergies, obviously, can the opponent level 3 after weird hits, and obviously this is one of those situations where most characters should be able to level 3 here. But it's weird for characters with grabs like Trunks or Beerus. It's not always going to work. So just be mindful of those types of things. And like I said, depending on how you want to play the character, I would also look into how much damage you get off your DPs, specifically because you could kill off of them, depending on if you want to play like Tien or if you want to play Teen Gohan. These characters I don't recommend particularly, but they end up doing a lot of damage considering his grounded level 1 does a lot of damage. So that's also one thing I recommend too. If you can use his grounded level 1, please do so, as it is a very, very, I want to say it does like 908 or 980, something like that. It's a really, really damaging level 1. So those are the things I would kind of scout for Cooler. And I actually have a graph that I put together just to like sort of showcase what I'm talking about as far as his synergies. So as you can see here, I have Lord Buller at the top, and I have the homies. These are characters I kind of think he works best with, depending on if you want to play offensively or defensively. And as you can see, I have Kefla, Base Vegeta. UI is the one that you can sort of play in substitution for 18, I believe, just because he has a B assist and an A assist that are both defensive and offensive. And Android 17 is the only one here that actually has one assist that does both at the same time. Still really good. And as you can see, as the list goes down, you can sort of see that he doesn't really do well with characters that rely on getting them in to set up, sort of like Zamasu or Ginyu. But he instead does well as a solo unit that likes to have the angles on the screen covered. And at the bottom of the list, as you can see, I have the Power of Friendship, because some of these characters I would just not recommend. As you can see, I have Teen Gohan, Piccolo, Roshi. These characters, funny enough, a lot of them have a lot of defensive applications like DPs or like armored moves, but these characters I don't recommend, specifically just because these characters either have the same assist or they're sort of fitting the same role as Cooler on a team, as they're playing either mid or you want to get the meter for a character, and Cooler doesn't really build all that meter. So these are characters I kind of just would advise you to stay away from. But the characters that are in the strong position, I actually think Baby, Gotenks, Jiren, GT, Z-Broly, all of these characters are actually really good, specifically because they don't really occupy the same lane as Cooler does, but they still benefit from his DP assist, and they are welcoming of a DHC that is very strong, specifically characters like Blue Goku, who really thrive off of getting hits from like his L grab into big damage, things like that. And of course you have characters in the S section, which is like Blue Vegeta or Bardock, the characters that are really, really good, but as sort of pairing them with Cooler is kind of iffy. Janemba was actually one of the few characters that I wanted to put in the strong section, but unfortunately with the meter nerf, I feel that he is actually less competent in this patch. I mean, the same goes for a lot of characters here, but normally I wouldn't even recommend playing like Blue Gogeta or Vegito, even if it was last patch, just because there's not really a need for it. And yeah, so overall this is sort of how I feel about his synergies. This is obviously coming from a player who wanted to look more into the offensive side of things, but try to give some leeway into defensive. And I would just look into seeing what fits for you. As I said, Baby is a really strong character solo, and I think he does well with Cooler. There's just some things that I don't like. Well, like he can't do his normal ender into the grab, into Cooler's level 3, which would be really, really nice. Or he can't do extensions with a DP assist that he normally could with other assists. But those are things that you sort of want to look over when you're building a team, just because you're like, well, the bigger picture is the stronger, or the bigger picture is what matters, right? So with that being said, my biggest recommendation is to try at least one of the people or one of the characters in the top section, and sort of just work your way down to see what works best for you. I know Obelisk, who is a North American player. I know he played Baby, Cooler, and Android 21. I still believe that's a really strong team now. And as you sort of go down the list, I would just you'll eventually find out why some of these characters exist in these lists, just because like Trunks, for example, I don't really particularly like a character who doesn't build meter with another character who doesn't build meter well, and he sort of fits in that bill even though he has a neutral assist. But yeah, Also, I would recommend, if anything, play a character with a neutral assist for Cooler, just because even though Kaiden's team was more defensively based, he still played a character with a beam assist on it. And that was for good reason, but ultimately I would just suggest, having some character with a neutral or full screen presence as an assist, and another one just to, fit your playstyle a little bit better. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully this was informative and it sort of helped you boil down what you want to do with the character. If there's anything you want to know about it, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later.